Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys a game between Team Empire and Absolute Legends. This is the second game of this best-of-3 series, and it was a little bit crazy with some technical issues. The fact is we had some thing going on with Dota TV, and it was a little bit delayed. Actually, not even a little bit, honestly, just straightforward. It was quite a bit delayed, but it's just a technical thing. It was on Valve's side with the admin rights, and from this point forward, we'll try to make sure this kind of thing doesn't happen again. So, sorry about that, but going on into the game, I myself and Blaze. This here is Rainmaker along with me. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good, just really excited that we get a cast, and, just want to give a big shout out to both teams. They're both really good about it, and I'm very happy because we get to go and see more games, and after that last game, I'm really pumped to cast, Any break, it wasn't long enough to go and make me any less excited. Now, looking at these bans, these are, pretty interesting, like Lone Druid ban. What do you think about that, Blaze?
It's rather unorthodox. I mean, the fact is, of course, they didn't have to deal with a lone druid pick from AL whatsoever. But along those lines, it does open up the field. It does set them up if they want to go for a first pick Darkseer or Magnus. They definitely have that option to go for that. Or they can build the team around something completely different, like an Undying. Godblack picked that up and played it quite effectively. I gotta say, when it came down to it, although it's hard to remember that being an hour-long game and then like a 20-minute break, the fact is, the laning phase went very smoothly for the Undying, Weaver, and Bane tri-lane, so that was very, very effective for them. Along those lines, they're going to start off with the Keeper Light, which is a very solid pick to make sure that they have control and presence over the lane. The Illuminate, the Chakra Magic, all of it just being really good for making sure that they can continuously and relentlessly dish out the damage they need to on that lane and make sure their carry gets farmed.
Yeah, this is actually really interesting. When I think of Team Empire, I don't think of a super late game lineup. But one of the strongest things about Keeper of the Light is it does allow you to go very, very late. You can always recall your carry back. You have great counter pushing ability with that 5-second Illuminate channel that's able to completely shatter creep waves. And, that just kind of leads to a more defensive kind of lineup. But we saw Virtus Pro, play Coddle in a very aggressive way, using a puck to set up nice Illuminates. Then the Coddle's Blinding Light would go and, knock it and proc the stun on the Dream Coil. So it was really, really cool that way. Maybe we'll see a big Wombo combo teamfight lineup with the Keeper Light just providing really good damage and sustaining their tri-lanes mana pool. On the other side, Absolute Legends is really, they are not pretending to do anything besides going all out on huge teamfight lineup.
Absolutely. I mean, you were saying wombo combo, and that's kind of what we're looking at right here. The AoE potential, not only the control of positioning based on vacuum, based on polarity, but the sheer amount of disable and damage they can output with the rank 3. If they get to like a level 16 Magnus, they get a big wall of replica on top of that. Their stats are going to get turned against them damage-wise. They're going to be completely disabled and helpless to do anything about it. Pierces through magic immunity, and the worst thing in the world is how Team Empire has to position themselves against this. They pick up a gyrocopter, which is pretty solid there, not only making sure that the Undying Tombstone will be very relevant in the early game stages, but also getting a powerful AoE hero off the board. I mean, that would have been a 100% given pick for Absolute Legends. If they had the gyrocopter option, we would have 100% see Unicorn pick that up again. But now Absolute Legends kind of forced to pick up a more supportive role. The Undying, Keeper Light, playing the roles of number 4 and 5, and so they knew that if they didn't pick up a good support now, they're going to be all banned out and not really have that great of options going on into the next phase. So good pickup there, getting the Shadow Demon on top of their already solid lineup. So they have illusions all over the place, but beyond that, I think Absolute Legends lineup is kind of limited in the sense that until they hit level 6 on a lot of key heroes, until they get some good experience on the board, their presence isn't that strong, and they really need to make up for that with their next 2 picks.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see how is Absolute Legends going to... I think we're going to see something like a Darkseer long lane, we'll see the Magnus middle, but how are they going to kind of round that out, Team Empire, you were absolutely correct. They took the gyrocopter, and while that does kind of synergize with their other heroes because it's a lot of AoE, and both Keeper of the Light and Undying, they love those big team fights where they can just have a lot of incidental damage. The Tombstone, the Illuminates, it's just kind of like tipping damage, and Flat Cannon definitely works in that same aspect. But that's the hero Absolute Legends really wanted. I'm sure if you just asked them, after their first 2 picks, if they could have any carry in the pool, I think they would have gone with the gyrocopter. But what are they going to do now? They could go for something, a little bit more old school, maybe a Sven. They could go for a Luna that, provides them that real big late game. But how they round it out, I think, is going to go and set the tenor for the rest of their match. Is going to see how aggressive they want to be in the early stages of the game, and or how much they just want to like turtle it out. Meanwhile, yeah, what was it?
Along with that, interesting pickup here, with the ban of the Broodmother, taking that off the board. I mean, obviously, an offlane would be an acceptable option if they wanted to go for like the Darkseer in the jungle or something like that. But one thing, if they're going for the late game, we're talking about the Keeper Light and the Gyrocopter, how they can scale so well further and further into the game, making up to another maybe 50-minute match or something like that. That's kind of their intention there. But one issue with that is a Broodmother doesn't really make that happen. Let them do that. They can't get to that phase in the game if their towers are being pushed one way or another. If they're having to deal with ion shells going down on one wave and spiderlings munching on the tower on the other side of the map. So they do have some global presence with Keeper Lights recall, like we were talking about, but beyond that, I kind of feel that taking that split push off the board, taking the Lone Druid out, the Broodmother, that will allow them to go late game and commit more to 5v5 engages, because if they had something that split push, like a Lone Druid or a Broodmother, and more often they would be going in 5 versus 4, and they might even win the fight, but lose just as much from the towers that get dropped down in the meantime.
That's definitely true. I think they're playing very smart by getting rid of these heroes, and this Sven also just allows them to go and play super aggressively, and fully capitalize on that kind of 35-minute fight where Sven just has that crit and BKB, and Magnus lands a sick RP, and you see that dot gift smash that EG put out a while back. On the other hand, I think Absolute Legends is playing this pretty smart too. They got rid of the Clinks, which both that shows some respect, because like Empire plays scary Clinks lineups, but more than that, Clinks gives a lot of room for your primary carry to farm. Like Clinks, we think of him as a huge damage dealer, and that's true, but he can do that with less items. And when a Clinks is on the map, your supports have to play terrified, and that gives your real carry, in this case it would be the Gyrocopter, a ton of time to just farm neutral camps, clear a stack, farm the lane, and then show up with Manta, MKB, Crit Stick, BKB, and really take that kind of like 40-minute, 50-minute game away from you. So cool bans that way. There's that Puck ban, again, really great synergy with the Keeper of the Light, great synergy with the call down from Gyrocopter, a lot of AoE damage, and very difficult to lock down. The Absolute Legends lineup, yeah, same thing with the Queen of Pain. Wow, Nature's Prophet. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's honestly has been, and the fact is they have a great lineup to go with it. They have the fact that they can continuously put pressure through the Illuminate, burn down the creep waves, use the Nature's Call to tank up the tower itself, even the Undying Tombstone to put up a little bit of pressure, make sure that they have to think twice if they really want to commit to a deny. Generally speaking, that means that they have a lot of control starting off. They have the amazing late game, the Templar Assassin kind of catapulting them into a very large burst physical mindset with the meld, with the amount of damage that Gyrocopter can put out, even with his reduced attack range. You give him Phase Boots and a Ring of Aquila, and he's ready to go as long as TA is on the front line there, and Undying along with that. Right. So they're ready to fight early. They're ready to push before Magnus's ulti becomes too prominent. I mean, even the rank 1 ulti is something you can deal with as it scales with its rank and duration. 2.25 seconds, if he gets on everybody, that's a different story, but generally speaking, it's not going to be the end of the world. So getting in this position here, they're going to have very powerful laning with Templar Assassin. They're going to have a lot of kind of split push potential with Nature's Prophet, Keeper of the Light, and they can easily make sure that the carry is getting the gold, if not from creeps, then from literally everything else on the map.
Right. And, again, there's that recall. The Keeper of the Light just pops them in, and you have a team fight. The Nature's Prophet is kind of filling that same role that Clinks would have, not so much in like the solo killing supports, but in the fact that it's drawing the attention away from the carry. Imagine if the Nature's Prophet's just pushing a lane. You don't see the Undying or the Templar Assassin on the map, and maybe the Keeper of the Lights, blasting mid. There's a Gyrocopter farming the safe lane. But what do you do? What do you do? Do you try to go on the Nature's Prophet? What if the Templar Assassin blinks up and the Undying smoked behind or something, right? Do you go on the Gyrocopter? He can get recalled away. The Prophet can TP to him. Where's that Templar Assassin? They could all just be sitting behind their carry. And cool, anti-mage. We might see some Cleave and Power, double plus good splash damage going on.
Yeah, Battle Fury plus the Empower, that'll definitely allow him to split push, or more appropriately, I think, in this regard, counter split push. They'll be having the damage coming in on their towers, and they'll be able to send it back the other way. And that works pretty well. I love Empire's draft in general. The fact that they have heroes that by themselves, Gyrocopter by himself, Prophet by himself, TA, all those heroes can do a lot and accomplish what they need to going into the game, but it's pretty much they don't have to commit to a 5-man push, because they are in a position where they can go in, line, they can go as 2 to 3 heroes and come out okay. Magnus will have to commit his polarity somewhere, and Miggle, if he gets an unfavorable one, if he gets one that only hits 1 or 2, then from there, the team fight is kind of broken down. They're relying, everything hinges on that, because Miggle gets the RP, Mania gets, of course, the Light Striker Ray Dragon Slave combo, and from there, it's just very, very powerful. So although the vacuum makes it easy, it also makes it that much more important.
Yeah, I definitely don't think this is a situation where one team is heavily outdrafted. I do somewhat favor Empire's lineup because they just can. They don't have to rely everything on that Magnus. They don't need that team fight to go super well. I think they can kind of drag it out better. They have a little bit better pushing. They have a little bit better late game. That's debatable, but I think the Gyrocopter kind of, along with the supporting cast of the TA and the Prophet, I think that kind of tips the late game into the Radiant's favor. So it's a much more balanced lineup. But when you look at sheer power, when you look at that, one team fight, all of you die, we're at 100% HP. That's what the Dyer's got going from. This is going to be kind of one of those games where everything's balanced on a knife's edge, and one Roche engagement, one Forest engagement completely can change the course of the entire match. Super excited to see these kind of lineups.
Yeah, and I'm liking this 3v3 action too, especially. Like, this is setting them up. It will mean that Nature's Prophet will be able to farm in a reasonably safe location, but all in all, the 3v3 I think is really nice for Empire, because they set up the Undying and the Keeper Light, both of them amazing in 3v3, as long as they get a good position. If they get in a spot where they can do the damage that they need to, all they need is Disables to follow up, and to an extent Gyrocopter allows that. I mean, the homing missile isn't all that reliable, it can be right-click down pretty hard, but just starting off these sentry wards, you're going to get those Illuminates coming in over the tree line. There's no way to 100% dodge that, and from there, it's going to be forcing them to put Miggle solo up top, and the Stout Shield is going to come on through and hopefully set him up to survive. Like I said, there's not that much disable, so all in all, Miggle, once he picks up his skewer, will be able to do pretty good. But in the meantime, they're having to kind of play musical lanes just a little bit, smoking on in. They want to try to get a first blood on the board, as well as make sure that Unicorn has a favorable arm for, because if he's not getting the money that he needs, then they can't go into the mid game. If the longer that guy's Manta style takes, the less and less they're going to be able to really combat underneath their towers.
Yeah, but I think he's going to have a pretty good time bot lane. He was pooled a little bit. He's got the Poor Man Shield, a good amount of restoratives, and there's not too much the Prophet can do, especially in this kind of situation. Yep, I think he might even just be dead.
Oh, wow, yeah, of course.
Great block.
Yeah, really good position there. He's going to teleport out, but not fast enough. Rise getting the last right click there, and just the creeps of his own creeps actually kind of surrounding to an extent to make it much more difficult to get out of that situation there. So, starting off, they got the Light Striker Ray to follow the disruption, and yeah, he gets completely picked off there. So, in the meantime, there was a little bit of trades on mid lane, but it takes a while for that Ion Shell to actually pierce on through the refraction, and for that reason, Miracle is going to have an okay time on the mid, but not nearly as successful as he wants. I'm curious to see if he's going to go for a bottle or for the Soul Ring to kind of follow up here.
Yeah, I mean, we've been actually we didn't get a comment on this because the picks were coming really fast, and I was super excited to see that Nature's Prophet. But I think that it's kind of strange to go and see a team picking Templar Assassin into a Darkseer, because right now this Darkseer is doing okay, but he just got that level 2 Ion Shell, and it's going to be super difficult for the TA to do anything. Also, another thing to note. Oh, look at this cute courier that Empire's got going for them. Anyway, one thing to note is we saw the Mania and Rise playing these same heroes last game, right? But here we can see how effective they can be when they're given chance to roam. This is a super scary pair to see off the map. And I think their laning here is basically perfect. The reason that we don't see Magnus in the long lane is because his skewer is not long enough to get him into the out of danger. But when he's on the safe lane, it doesn't matter if he's against a tri lane. He's not going to really die here. It's going to be very difficult for him to actually die. And that just basically means the tri lane on the Dire side is they're kind of losing. Even though he's
this is big time with the courier coming in with the bottle on mid lane. They can not only kill Scandal but possibly pick off this courier as well. They didn't see it coming in time, so they won't be able to head out that direction, but they're definitely going to come in for the disruption, start things off, following with the Light Strike Ray again. So much damage potential coming out with the Ion Shells active right now, and they are forcing Scandal to pop off the mill, fall back for the time being. The right clicks are there, but they really don't have enough damage follow up after the fact. Scandal, knowing their limitations, knowing they don't have detection, going some more right clicks, but 3 charges remain for the absorption absorption effect of the refraction, and on the bottom lane in the meantime Unicorn hasn't been able to get any farm, so that's a lot of transition from the support. He's not been babysat, and for that reason Godblack and Funnick able to force Unicorn back for the time being, setting Gyrocopter up to take a 15 creep score lead.
Yeah, that's actually, I've actually expected Unicorn to be doing a little bit better in this lane, but I suppose I'm just not really respecting the amount of sheer right-click damage that the Nature's Prophet can get by just auto-attacking those treants onto you. We don't see Nature's Prophet in the safe lane very often, but with that level 2 Nature's Call, he's just kind of using them to out-base damage the anti-mage quite heavily. This is similar to what and Decay going off, but I don't think they're going to be able to do too much. But this is kind of similar to what you'd see an Enigma do if Enigma went to the mid lane, just using those Eidolons to really pressure the other hero out of lane.
Sure enough, sure enough. But in the meantime, yeah, Magnus is going to get the farm that he needs experience-wise. 266 currently is sitting right there, and here comes the transition. Now, they were underneath the ward. They know that they're coming, but even if you have an understanding and are not going to get flanked up, it's still going to force you off the lane and delay how much you can farm. This will give a little bit more breathing room for Anti-Mage so that he can actually stay on par, because it's actually surprisingly relevant about the farm coming out, but we do see a lot of damage coming in from Miracle, and it might be costing Godblack his life. There is a couple more right clicks. Unicorn wants to finish that off, but yeah, haste of Darkseer, just going to be able to manage that. Unicorn doesn't have Blink just yet. The Poor Man's Shield actually negating a lot of that damage, and he's going to survive. So all in all, that haste rune setting Darkseer up so that he can pursue underneath the tower and dish out the damage he needed to, which was really, really nice. And unfortunately, no skilling up in the Sprout just yet, as most people have Tangos anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I think that here he's picked up a Ring of Health. I'm actually surprised. In this kind of situation, you'll often see an anti-mage just kind of be like, this is not a good lane for me. So doing what every carry player can do these days is, time for Tranquil Boots and just kind of win the game out that way. The additional armor, the additional, basically, regen, kind of allowing you to really win lane, not even win lanes, but be able to farm lanes you wouldn't have any chance to. But it seems he's going straight for that Ring of Health, and this basically means that he's kind of risking a lot to be able to get that early Battle Fury, and I'm not even sure how effective it will be. If you look at his skill build, he's had to put a lot into Blink. Normally when you get an early Battle Fury and you have that kind of safe lane, you'd see something like a 1-1-1 build and stats, and the point of that is so that you have the additional stats to be able to farm the woods. Now, I don't think he's going to be able to farm the woods effectively with his Battle Fury. He's not going to have treads. He's not. Oh my god, he almost just.
Yeah, just got completely obliterated. The Nature's Prophet ultimate perfect there. Funnick getting the exact amount of bounces they needed to dish out that damage, and a rank 2 Soul Rip with quite a few creeps to fill it. It was like a 1.5 creep wave plus the Nature's Call. So a lot of trends to make sure that the Soul Rip did the damage it needed to, and yeah, dishing out accomplishing that spell shield not even at rank 1. So he took a lot there and unfortunately paid for it with his life. So that is putting AO in a weird position. They've roamed these supports in. They wanted to make sure Unicorn could get a kill. Now they might find that opportunity with Funnick getting so much damage coming in from that Soul Catcher, Dragon Slave, and a couple more right clicks should do the trick here, and there's really no way to stop it. So Unicorn is going to get a revenge kill here, but it took a long time for it. Rise and Mania smoked all the way from the top rune spawn all the way down to that position, and actually Miracle missing on the vacuum up the cliff, and Scandal going to be able to contest and control the mid lane pretty effectively to this point since he got the illusion rune, and it looks like Darkseer is just going to head on towards the jungle instead.
Yeah, I think that this is really what the anti-mage needed though. Like if he doesn't, okay, he's going for boots now. I hope he actually finishes treads or something, because if he doesn't get that kind of HP soon, they're really just focusing him down, and they're going to nuke him down. He's playing against his Gyrocopter, who I think this even might be a Midas, sitting at 1900 gold, nothing but Tranquils on. This would be the time frame that you would, like, this is probably a very well-timed Midas if he decides to go for it. And with a level advantage and a farm advantage, I don't know what the anti-mage is going to do in the mid-game against this Gyrocopter. You can always split push, but you're split pushing against a Prophet and a Coddle. I don't think that will be super effective. So, are they going to get the disruption? No. Tombstone just played very defensively there.
Yeah, setting it up so they can't really force down on that tower. You can't dive under a Tombstone. You have too many different things you have to worry about there, and it's just not going to happen. But interesting pickup from the Gyrocopter, going for literally a drum rush. Had the Tranquil Boots and branches and going to be able to build up that magic wand, but on top of that having a full drum of endurance, now actually going underneath the tower under Miggle, going to try to get some big right clicks on in there. There's no opportunity to skill out, so he has to have some big jukes right now. Blow Your Brain is getting fogged for the time being and doesn't really know what he needs to, he's going to heal up, and now he's going to search for Miggle. Would find him, but it's going to be a wild goose chase for the time being, just going on around the trees. Of course wants to bring him down. Might think that he TP'd on out, but Miggle didn't, of course, have one going on into it, so Blow Your Brain was paying attention to that. he's unfortunately just abandoning the chase. And now on bottom lane, there's lots of action continuously happening, and beautiful Illuminate finishing off the Shadow Demon, bringing down Mania really, really low. Godblack wants to pursue, just needs to go for that decay and a couple right clicks to finish the job, but that salve did pop off. Lina going for that TP, and there's no way to finish it off. Instead, Scandal missing his opportunity on Unicorn, and it was actually a really interesting exchange there, but the Darkseer did take a fall down by the river, and then, of course, picking up the Nature's Prophet there to kind of go on through. So Unicorn, I believe, got one of those kills, and that's going to help him out a ton, but beyond that, it's really... the fact is, it's 4-4. They've been skirmishing a lot, but the supports are kind of under level right now. Shadow Demon just now hitting level 4, Lina at the exact same level, and that's because they've been roaming so much. So their idea of that is to try to reinforce their lanes and make sure that every lane wins just a little bit, but at the cost of your supports. But in this case, it really didn't give them that much of an advantage. Gyrocopter and TA still getting the most farm, the most experience, and it's going to be difficult to contest them when they do so much damage, and your supports are just fodder for them, essentially.
Where did Anti-Mage's Ring of Health go? It's not on the bird. Did he sell it?
I couldn't imagine that he did.
Oh, top lane,
top lane. See, anyways, top lane. Yeah, that is going to be a nice pick off there. The Nature Prophet doing a lot to try to bring down Miggle, but it's not going to be enough. And, of course, Unicorn just going to be able to pick that off there. So that is good. Yeah, he's got it back. I don't know what happened, but not a big deal.
Okay, maybe it was on the ground or something. Yeah, he did in fact go for those Tranquil Boots. Tranquil Boots, Ring of Health, Torment Shield. I think this is the kind of build you need to go if you are having a terrible time as Anti-Mage. Normally, like in a, super 4 Protect 1 kind of burning Dota style Anti-Mage game, you could even see a Battle Fury in the next 3 minutes, but this is going to be like maybe at least a 14-minute Battle Fury, probably closer to 16-minute, and this is not what Absolute Legends wanted going into this game. Also, I have a little bit of an announcement to make, There was those technical difficulties, and, luckily, Valve was able to fix it, and kind of as, thank you to all the viewers, we've been given some glorious benedictions. So I'm going to wait a couple minutes till the stream catches up, and then I'm going to start dropping off these benedictions. So if you can get in the game, any spectators with that Dota 2 pass will now be, I'll drop off, and 25 people are going to get random items. I've got 5 benedictions, that's going to be 100 items. And, you should go log in and buy a ticket if you don't have one, because in, let's say, 3 minutes, I'm going to start dropping them.
Very cool, very cool. But 125 would be 5 times 25. But yeah, no, that's really, really awesome. I'm glad that they did that. Of course, it was a frustrating difficulty that we had to work our way through, but after we had some delay. Obviously, we're getting off the ground, and I'm happy that we get a little bit of something to give back to the viewers for their patience and dealing with that. And we do see actually the TPL courier in both of them, so that's pretty cool. They need to get some glowy eyes on those guys, though. I'm sure that'll be most of the teams will get that built up over time until it looks like when we're halfway through the season, everybody's going to look really cool in that respect.
Could you imagine, how tragic would it be if playing the games didn't give you the club? That would just, oh man, that would be the worst.
It's like everybody watches your game and they have a better courier than you for it. But actually, we do see a nice flank coming on in. Blow Your Brain popping up the call down. They do have the TP to make sure of it. And this is just going to be a really quick, easy kill. A little bit of mana committed, but beyond that, it's just setting stuff up. And that's really the fact is, these supports can't go anywhere by themselves. Shadow Demon, Lina, they've been buddy-buddy all game long, and not only do they need to make sure that continues to be the case, but also make sure that they have somebody even beefier alongside them, because otherwise there's going to be pickoffs everywhere. Miggle going for that reverse polarity, missing it completely. That Skewer rank 3 not being enough for him to close the distance. They're getting trapped up for the time being. Shadow Demon dissuading them for the time being. Godblack taking some harassment there, but all in all, they're just kind of batting their eyelashes one another, not really accomplishing too much one way or another. In the meantime, it looks like there is actually the carries duking it out right off the bat. That Perseverance comes out from Anti-Mage there, and presumably that is going to build towards the Battle Fury, as you kind of need in this going up against this kind of split push type lineup. But the longer you wait for it, the less you're going to be able to utilize its farm aspect. The GPM increasing, knocking down neutral stacks, flash from the creep wave, so on and so forth. It'll be great later on, but it just overall won't be enough for what you're needing. And now we're seeing that Blink Dagger that Scandal's managed to pick up with this 5,100 net worth coming into play. The recall does get canceled, but beyond that, he's just getting completely annihilated as far as Unicorn in pursuit. With the rank 4 Iron Chill and with his short cooldown blink, he's just going to get one more right click to finish the job right here, and that's going to commit the ulti.
Yeah, but, I mean, you know what? If you're in this Anti-Mage's position, you need that gold. You go for it. Even if, It might
Nice
have been better
vacuum,
here.
but they are under the tombstone, so that's going to be a lot of damage coming in. Nice blinding light coming on through. Funnick going to get right-clicked on down with his light strike coming out, but they want more. They get the Laguna Blade onto Funnick, and Mania actually pays his life. Unicorn didn't really focus one target, went to different ones. They're actually taking a lot of damage from the call down. Bam! Wow, so much damage coming from that gyrocopter, and that's a double kill for him on the southeastern end. Unicorn and Miggle going to finish off Silent right here with a shockwave, and they're going to have to fall back from there because their supports have really fallen by the wayside. So much slow coming out that Darkseer didn't get a chance to use his surge, and the zombies piling up along with that call down. It's really area denial and area control that is 100% the name of the game of Empire's lineup, other than Templar Assassin or NP. But the other three have just so much to make up for it that it's extremely impressive what they can do if AL stays in one spot for just a little bit too long.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically, I think, the worst fight, however, that Absolute Legends is going to have for a while. They didn't have the reverse polarity. The Darkseer didn't have a mech up. The Anti-Mage ulti was already used. It's just a lot of things went wrong, and they still ended up okay, and Anti-Mage got a lot of experience. Now, he's going and playing... Oh, let's see if they're actually going to commit on this fight. I don't think so. Yeah, just going to focus down the tombstone.
Nice vacuum pulling him in, but they don't get the opportunity to follow it up with the polarity. A little bit too slow on Miggle, and now Sprouted on in, doesn't have a way to cut on out, taking too much damage, doesn't get the ulti off from Blow Your Brain. Blow Your Brain dies anyways with like 3 different ultimates committed simultaneously, but nevertheless, that gives an opportunity for Empire to move on in. Scandal in an interesting position right here is going to try to get that blink off if necessary, but the Illuminate comes on through, hits on Rise. Now Unicorn duking it out with Funnick with that Iron Shell, going to be able to burn him down, but the Soul Rip is sufficient. Goblack's using the opportunity to get so many creep heals off, and Funnick survives for the time being. Unicorn has to fall back, and that is just a complete swing in their favor, going 14-9 and taking control of this game right here. The experience especially is going to be skyrocketing up, and once they take down this tower, they're going to get plenty of gold for it as well.
Yeah, I mean, but that almost ended up terribly for them. If the Prophet died there, I don't think they'd be able to get the tower, and they committed a gyrocopter buyout to that. So they really wanted to make that something happen there.
Yeah, but one cool thing about Gyrocopter... Wow, actually up on bottom lane, yeah, a lot of damage trading back and forth. The homing missile won't do too much, neither will the call down, but with the second barrage, they should be able to bring down Miggle at least. The sun comes out, right-clicks is all he needs, but he's on such low life, has to fall back. They do finish off the Magnus, but the Anti-Mage is going to be able to blink on out. Now some right-click damage coming in from Scandal, gets that big Melt Strike, takes out 2/3 of the HP with one single attack, and with the Sprout coming out, Rise has to commit his TP. He will be able to escape, but barely with his life. Holy crap, actually. That Melt Strike, it didn't technically hit, so it was the damage before it, but it was just barely bursty enough for Shadow Demon to take a fall right there, and that's, the burst of the Necronomicon with that mana burn of 125 and their additional right-click damage. I didn't think they could manage it, but of course, SD doesn't have very much health to work with in the first place, and him getting locked down ensures them to not only win that fight, but keep the pressure rolling. We were talking about push from the minute go, and we see the Midas, we see the Nature's Call, and the Necronomicon. There's nothing to stop them from taking down this tower right here. A Unicorn trying to do what he can, but even if he picks up a Battle Fury, it's not a combat item. It's a counter push, it's a push, a split push, and it's a farm item. And for that reason, they can just focus them down and just lay down the smackdown with this. I mean, they've been obliterating them thus far, and Gyrocopter, using the drums, using the Yasha, has so much mobility that even when he has to be forced to pop a buyback, he's in the fray like 10 seconds later.
Right. It's just really, I think this game is, how you can play Gyrocopter. We saw 2 very different Gyrocopters here, and he's about to go and get another kill.
Yeah, Mini on low life does not get called down. Instead, reverse polarity on 2. They are going to get that wall of replica and skewering them on back, but it's just too much damage coming out. Godblack and Scandal turning it around. Scandal with a mega kill. Blink does get away, so Unicorn is going to survive for now, but getting chased down. The Urn as well as the TA's auto attacks, double damage, just doing so much there, and they're going to move on and get the Desolator and TA, and I got to say, AL is in such a sore spot right now. I don't know if they can come back from this. They committed themselves to such a late game team. Wall of Replica, Reverse Polarity, Anti-Mage, those aspects of it, it's just they cannot fight at the 17-minute mark. They're getting outplayed right now, and they honestly couldn't get the big positions off. The Vacuum is rank 4, but we haven't seen but one really good polarity, and now there's just too much damage coming out from Empire at this stage.
I almost feel that Absolute Legends almost got baited into keeping their Darkseer on the mid lane, because let's say that Magnus went mid, right? He would lose the lane. Quite badly he'd lose the lane, but you'd just be able to bottle pro and keep spamming it out. And then eventually you'd get those levels, but you'd have your Anti-Mage and safe farm. And Darkseer could, very easily lane against the Nature's Prophet. So instead they had their Anti-Mage not being able to get any farm. Their Gyrocopter wasn't contested at all. If it was tri-lane versus tri-lane top, yes, Undying and Coddle is a very scary, scary tri-lane. But so is Disruptor, Lena, and not Disruptor, sorry, Shadow Demon, Lena, and Anti-Mage. It's a bit tricky. I think, last game when I saw Arax go down, the Gyrocopter had enough items, they were pretty far, like, item level wise. They were pretty decent, right? They were pretty competitive. I don't think that after this Aegis, and I can't talk, please. I don't think after this Aegis, Absolute Legends is going to really be able to fight them. There's just too big of a difference.
Yeah, two double Gyrocopter is going to be way too much. Even if it's just one call down and one flat cannon, because it is a 20-second CD, it's still going to be so difficult to deal with. The 1,000 gold from the MKB, dishing out that much more right-click damage. I mean, honestly, the Bowie Brain right now can kill the Lena and the Shadow Demon without even looking at them. He can right-click somebody else, and they'll drop down to just a handful of auto attacks. 6 flat cannon strikes with this much AD right now early on. Yeah, it's going to be too much. The 720 Lena, and actually the exact same for Shadow Demon, so not too much going on there. They're going to get out position right now. The Flesh Golem comes on in, as well as a big Tombstone. Miracle. Oh my gosh, look at that damage from the Wrath of Nature. Almost forgot it for a second there. But yeah, rank 2 Wrath, hidden perfectly. And I gotta say, Funnick has made some big plays, surprisingly, with Endangered Prophet. You generally don't see that kind of action, but it just worked out so well for them. Blinding Light to force them off the tower, and they're gonna take Rax for sure. Darkseer bought back, popped off the wall. Replica got a couple out of it, but now there's just too much damage coming forth. Unicorn gets locked down, as well as Miracle from Below Your Brain, and that's it. They're gonna most likely call a good game here because they've lost 4 Rax. They're all dead, and there's really nothing to show for it but the Templar Assassin's death. And yeah, it doesn't really add up to too much there. And I think she got recalled back in, so just showing the fact that Keeper Light continues that relentless streak, not only in mana, not only in continuing the lane push, but setting carries that can just buy back in core heroes in the fray once more, and there's not too much to answer back with.
Yeah, and also guys, just hold on one second. I need to go and actually drop all these items, and it's taking me a little bit longer than I could because I have a lot of custom hotkeys, and it's getting a little bit confusing here. Yeah. Actually, Blaze, would you like to take these from me? Do you have your gift things all set up?
The gift, I honestly have never used them, so hopefully you can figure that out before the game expires, but it's gonna very quickly.
This game went a lot faster than I thought, yeah. Let's hope that Absolute Legends can hold on for the sake of the viewers.
Okay, but while you focus on that, there is some tower dive or fountain dive action going on. The Ancient is actually taking damage right now, and it's 3,500. Unfortunately, that looks like it's going to be it. Hopefully, they can get the items in the score screen or whatever. I'm not really too familiar with it, but good game, well played. That is the second game of this first best of 3. This is the very first match of TPL Season 4, and it was a doozy. Empire taking an amazing first game. With the matchup that they had between the two. They went into the 50-game mark with a very late-game Weaver, got a Divine Rapier out of the hands of Unicorn, pried it from his cold dead fingers, and used it to take down their Ancient. But in this one, it was a completely different game. It was showing that Empire can have not a late-game oriented style, but one that's prominent throughout every stage of the game. Pushing early, but using that gold that they get from the push to build up a very scalable, hard-hitting semi-carry lineup. So Scandal with the Templar Assassin, Desolator, Blink, MKB, and the Drum. I mean, they were just in a really great spot to control the pace of the game, and I feel that if Mania and Rise had just kind of resorted to tri-laning and at least tried to fight 3v3, they might have been in a better position than they found themselves in. 0, 8, and 7, level 8, level 7, and they weren't in a position to fight at all. They were pretty much like one-hit wonders. They threw their stuns out, and then they would either die or run for their lives. So in that situation, looks like that's it. And it's going to go the way of Empire. So I'll try to get in touch with Scandal, see if I can get a post-game interview with him. But unless you have any other closing thoughts, man?